I just listened to General Flynn this morning, and he's come on. He's saying like, there's a satanic cult that runs the world. Like this is a former national security advisor. These are, we do live in a different era, and I think if we've got a bit of hindsight from looking there to where we've been, I still only see one trajectory, but I think it's going to be absolute chaos on the way in.
I'm great. How about you?
Good. You're looking very tanned. Been getting a bit of sun.
Yeah, getting lots of sun. I don't
Same.
know if you know, I when I had to close the skate park down a couple of years ago, 2023, I like was in a pretty big bind, I owed shit tons of money, still to this day, like still paying off debt and all the rest of it. But long story short, I started to do some just basic laboring stuff like that, just to get cash flow in the doors and all the rest of
Yeah.
it. Because my dad and my brother are both concreters. So I was doing some work with my brother on a construction site sort of thing. And he said to me, listen, man, there's an idea that I've given to every one of my employees over the years. And that is to, instead of concreting and constructing the driveways, what you do is you just clean up the old driveways and you put a colored sealer down. So it's like a sealer with a tint
I
in it.
think I think you told me about this.
Have
Yeah.
I told you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I kicked that off in 2023, the end of 2023, because I'd already really done my apprenticeship building the skate park because it was like
Yeah.
1,100 square meters of concrete area that I had to grind down, fix the holes, patch everything up, and then seal it with that, that sort of beautiful gray sort of indoor um like paint that you see in like showrooms and shit like that. So that was all done all through the skate park. So
It's
between
like that rebound ace stuff.
yeah, that's
Kind of.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my mum's a painter, um, and she's been a painter for like 30 years, right? So like her and I sprayed the whole skate park inside, but we also did the floors. So I cut my teeth on the floors and then I just got to starting this business. So in a long-winded way, I'm outdoors all the time. That's like my new business, and it's sort of taken off and become like a cracking business. It's probably one of the businesses
Really?
that I've owned. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
What's your
absolutely.
bloody
So
what's your astrology? What are you?
uh, as in like numbers and stuff like that.
No, like what's your star sign? Like
I'm a Taurus like
you're a
you.
Tory. I thought you were. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the 3rd of May.
That's it. Yeah, because well,
What are you, 15th or something like that?
yeah, yeah. Well done,
Yeah,
well done.
there you go.
I thought you, yeah, because because I was looking at the Saturn Neptune conjunction too, and the Aries placements now. So the Taurus this year is all complete revaluing of career and money and what you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be a rejig. But which like because I've just got back from Thailand and I fucking need some money now too. So I'm scaffolding. So it's
Are you
fucking
really?
oh dude, like I'm fucking
Okay.
we had like last 2 days this week, it's like 35 degrees,
Damn.
8.5 hour days, like I was just dripping. Like it
Yeah.
was it's hard work.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard yakka, scaffolding and stuff like that. My bro, like I said, my dad and my brother are concreters, and honestly, it's just a hard yakka job. Like to go there and do that 8.5 hours, like you said, and then have any kind of like health and vitality after that to go to the gym or do whatever.
Oh no,
It's
I was
like,
done. Yeah, like
mate,
my
you got to
gym
dig
days
deep.
have like slowed right down.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
But
and
I
it's no
mean, it's
wonder
like
that
it's like a day at the gym anyway, isn't it? Like
yeah,
doing.
absolutely. But it's
Yeah.
no wonder that industry, like I don't know too many tradies in that industry that aren't pissheads, just like crack on at the like their whole afterlife, well, I shouldn't say this as a generic thing, but I know a lot of them where
Yeah,
their whole afterlife is basically self-medicating
yeah, yeah.
to ease the pain
Oh,
of the
I
treatment
had
they
I had
work.
this thought yesterday because like I haven't had a drink for like 6 months, and I came back and I'm like, I just want to like hit the town. Do you know what I mean? I want to do something.
That's
So,
right.
but
Especially
anyway, like
dash
yeah,
out 60 hours a week. Like you got a fair bit of fat in the bank, and then you just like, I've got nothing to spend it on. So these guys just
yeah.
go and,
Well,
piss it up.
I'm glad yours is going well. That's like it's profitable, doing well.
Yeah, it is. It's a
That's good.
very profitable business. I'm on the tools all the time. And honestly, like as a business guy, like I've been in business for 22, 23 years now, right? So
Yeah,
um I started working for myself like when I was like 17, so
yeah,
it's nothing new to me, but I have scaled a couple of businesses to get to like many staff. Like with the skate park, for example, I had nearly 30 staff at that skate park. It was a fairly big leap in terms of business.
yeah.
But I've just had my fingers burned a couple of times now. So now I really like the fact that it's just me, that everything starts and stops with me. I can choose hours, so to speak.
Yeah.
The only downfall about having an outdoor business like this is like when I had the skate park and it rained, I used to love it, Dale. Like I used to rained for fucking months. I don't care
Yeah,
because like
more people coming in.
everyone will come inside and they'd have nowhere to skate. But in this business, if it rains, you don't work. So,
You don't
if you
work.
have, conversely to you, if you have, say, like next week, for example, supposed to be, I don't know, 3 or 4 days of rain sort of thing. So it kind of really puts a lid on things. But
Yeah.
then, you have days like, for example, in winter, it's a easier time to have more consistent weather and stuff like that. So yeah, man, the cash flow is really good. And then it's allowing me now to kind of like funnel back into the coaching. And I've got a book sort of, brewing in the background and all this kind of stuff.
Hey,
So
you're
it's giving
busy,
me a bit of
man. You're
motivation.
like you're always reinventing yourself, Adrian. This
I
one,
am.
it's
I
good.
am. I'm nearly 50 and I got to fucking crack the code soon. So I'm just like, I better do something to kind of like keep going.
What are
But
you now? How old?
I'll be 48 this year.
48.
Yeah, yeah. What about you?
Fuck, I'm 41 this year.
Yeah, nice.
Can't believe it. Can't
Yeah,
believe
that's
it.
the way. For some reason, I thought you were still in your 30s, but yeah,
I
40.
went to a mate's 40th last year, and his old man's there, and I go, okay. I was talking to his dad, and I go, I remember going to your 40th. Like,
Really?
yeah, I remember we were about 16, and
Yeah,
we were freaking getting pissed there. We thought bloody like we thought they were old men. They,
yeah, absolutely. I'm at an age now where it I look at people my age and I go, fuck, that guy looks old, but he's my age.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, I look at how old other people look, but they're nearly 50 like me, so I'm just like, fuck,
There's a
that's
big disparity, I think, when you kind of get middle aged between. I mean, you can tell how someone's lived, I think, but when they're like 40 or 50,
true.
you
Yeah,
can
true.
you
But
can
I'm
look
still like
quite young.
to my kids and their friends, I'm old, and then
Yeah,
to
yeah,
other people that are like we saw like our mates' dads, I'm young. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm in that in between age where like, oh, you still got heaps of time, and all these guys are going, you were born in 1978. Fuck, like what was it like? Back in the non-color days and shit like that. So the shit that I used to take the piss out of my mum and dad, they're doing to me now. So.
I know.
Anyway, I still got to remain like, as fit and youthful and as vital, have enough vitality as possible, because I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. So anyway,
No, good work. Good work. Yeah, sounds like you're doing well. Good to
I'm
hear.
doing my best. Yeah. Mate, have you heard this guy called Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, we've gone like full circle, haven't we? Do you know what? I wasn't sure what you wanted to talk about. Like I knew you wanted to talk about that, but I've actually because I was going to do a presentation on this like just for my own YouTube in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I got like different snippets um,
Mm.
from old articles, it's kind of like relating to um, like abuse cover-ups in Australia too. So if you want to go over any of that,
Yeah, I do.
I can put slides up. So, but whatever you want to do.
Yeah, man, I'll go wherever you want to go. I think Maybe to sort of preface all of that, I'm curious to know because like you mentioned astrology before and stuff. I've got a mate of mine who's very similar. He's all into the numbers. He's like, Adrian, you're a 33. This is your life path 6. All the rest of it. Like he's sort of gearing me towards the way that I should be thinking in terms of astrology and all the rest of it. Um, anyway, but I know that you're on top of that. So I guess I'd like to know. What are your thoughts on the timing of all of this? Like we've sort of gone through
Yeah.
this whole because I don't know if you remember in 2020, I interviewed you for the first time. This is probably your fifth or sixth time that I've interviewed you, and I discovered you from YouTube when they used to allow a lot of the stuff at the beginning about satanic ritual abuse. You talked about Fiona Barnett, and that first interview. If you re-listen to it again, it's kind of like fairly elementary in terms of snuff videos and how they sell these things online and all the rest of it. So like we've come all the way through COVID and all of that stuff was overshadowing
Mm.
um, like that particular era. And then COVID's gone away. So there's sort of more like political. And then there's this Epstein that's come back through again. And then we're on the brink of like war, alien invasion, and economic collapse. So you're just like, fuck. What's happening? What's your opinion as to what's happening in this sort of timeline of events?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd have to go back and listen to our first one. I really cringe when I listen to old stuff, and I know that was my the early videos I was putting out. That was a lot of the theme, and I think it was because like particular with what I'd looked at for a long time was I knew COVID and that was I knew like a mandated jab was going to come at some point in my life, so I'd already prepared to that. And I saw a lot of new people waking up. And I don't know if you remember the theme then. A lot of the Q drops were really big around 2020. They kind of boomed into, and there was a lot of documentaries that came out that coincided with like child trafficking, all that kind of thing. So I ran off that just under I guess like the pretext of that, if this is happening to children, they probably don't care about your health. That was kind of kind of the idea. But
Yeah,
as far as the time, I've found it extremely hard, um, from going what looked like a very patterned blueprint of like everything that we'd seen from all these different think tanks over the years that had put out this agenda of like this, one world government kind of thing. And then it started getting there's like halting of that agenda. So I think that we definitely seem to be in some sort of blueprinted and finite pattern, but then there's something else scrambling it. So it really feels like um I almost look like simulation is you could say that's like Lucifer or the devil, and then the true like immortal spirit that's there is something that's like um that isn't finite. That so it's all this scramblings of different timelines, but it seems like everything has to match the astrology. And you just mentioned numerology before, so and like and this isn't really popular, but I do think there's a lot to like the Q operation, or at least that there's a light occult. And I've explained this in other videos before, and I just think it's as simple as understanding duality and vibration. So all light vibration is just dark and light. That's how you create a vibrational pattern. So if something exists, the opposite, equal and opposite must always exist. So we know there's satanic rings now and all this kind of stuff that goes on. So there must be the polarity. And they're working behind the scenes. So I think there's also a light working behind the scenes. And I don't necessarily support like what they're doing, but I think there's so much evidence at the moment too that there is, I don't know if you want to call it disclosure, but it seems like all these things are very well timed. Like, I don't know if you just saw that they're sending all these naval ships over to Iran now.
yeah,
And it's like, well, of course, that's going to coincide with the same day that they arrest Prince Andrew. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything's a little bit too intricate. And I know, like, I don't know if you watch Jason Bashir's from Archaics, but he speaks about like a beginning and an end point. And
mhm,
he does this thing called like pattern cylindrics. So, and he does it using he did one using the solar eclipses, but you can do it for anything. So there's when something originally comes out, and then there's a middle point and an end point, and that's why like things will be a theme will come in, then it'll go away, and then it'll come back. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing in the Epstein stuff now too. Because are you seeing like a re-traumatization of people with some of like the new revelations that are coming out?
What do you mean?
I mean, I've spoke to a lot of people, and they kind of they've like turned away. They've turned away from looking at a lot of this stuff. Like it's like they're having to like kind of face a reality that what a lot of nut jobs have been talking about ritual abuse and secret societies and Satanism and all these kind of things is actually occurring. It's kind of like it's in the mainstream now. So
Mm.
I always think like when a huge amount of information comes out, it mirrors a consciousness shift. So it doesn't matter if how that information's been released. It could be coming from government sources, it could be planned, or it could just come out unpredictable. But if that information's coming out, that's changing the collective consciousness of humanity. So, and all it is
I
like,
read
okay,
that.
there's a reality now that that this stuff is occurring, and that's um, becoming more understood by the wider public. But then that consciousness shift will always match a technological advancement as well too. This is what I've been noticing.
Mm.
So when you see awareness rise, technology is going to rise. So that's telling me something else is coming with technology. And I don't know if you've seen these mainstream articles recently. They've been talking about how to tread carefully over the Epstein information now that we have the advancements of artificial intelligence and these videos and stuff have you seen these
Yeah.
articles appearing too? So I wouldn't be surprised um, if something along the lines of like a video or something comes out about a certain person and that it actually turns out not to be true. And I think that that's got to do with the Saturn Neptune conjunction too, that there's an element of illusion.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I do agree that it seems very strategic and tactical, and I don't think that's anything new in terms of how things I guess, drip fed to us in terms of, certain levels of exposure or information that's leaked out. I think that I had a conversation years ago with one of my best mates, and we were talking about AI, God, all this kind of stuff. And I'm not sure what your beliefs are. Well, I know most of your beliefs, but I'm not sure what your beliefs around religion, because obviously there's a huge explosion of this sort of religious, comeback in terms of
yeah,
following some sort of religious dogma, I guess, right? So, um, I kind of think that if you were to dump all the data onto everyone all at once, it would cause too much chaos, because some people's world will be turned upside down. So if you've devoted your life to Jesus, for example, and then you find out, oh, hang on a second, um, there's a lot of untruths about that particular guy, right? If you go a little step further and you say, I have been a devout Christian, and now I find out that the Vatican has done this and this and this, and all of a sudden all of that gets exposed. So if you do all of that, plus the monetary system, plus the
it's a
occult,
lot.
and plus there's elite. I keep saying elite. I want to say there's filthy fucking dirty scum that worship some sort of evil entity that kill and rape kids and all that kind of stuff, and they sell people into trafficking rings and all the rest of it, and they go all the way to the very top of our government, financial, like all of that control, right? So if you were to sort of just push that onto everyone and go, here's the truth. Oh, and by the way, aliens exist in our society, and this is how they sort of move in between the governments and have an influence. And the Earth's flat, and outside the wall is fucking heaps of land, and that's where all the alien lives. They don't live in outer space; they actually live in lands beyond, our realm and all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, you're like, everyone's going to be fucking jumping off a bridge, because they're like, my whole life has been a lie. I don't even know how to exist in this society. So I feel like there's with relation to, say, Epstein, for example, we saw a lot of things come out several years ago, and then they got squashed, and then there's a resurgence, and then it got squashed again, and now it's all of a sudden it's all not all out there, but it's come out into the mainstream. But I see low level pedophile rings being exposed, and this guy gets arrested, and this copper gets arrested, and this guy was busted for having child pornography and thousands of images, but it's all of these sort of low level type of people. And so people think that something's been done about this. Like, I don't know how many pedophile rings and people have been arrested just in the last month or two. You're like, why all of a sudden have the Epstein list been released and then now all these guys get busted? Why weren't they getting busted before? And if they were, why weren't we told about it? So it seems like it's almost placating the public to go, here's all this shit that goes on. You don't know exactly to the extent because we're not releasing all of the names and all of the videos, and we're not putting it out on the web for everyone to see. But we're going to tell you that there's some action being taken against these things. And so all of a sudden you go, yeah, there's something being done about it. It's very, very wrong. But the people that are actually controlling the whole thing, like nothing's being done, that's the most frustrating part. So I think
I think there's definitely a demoralization. I know that's been spoken about a lot too, and I see this attitude a lot of, I've got like nothing will happen, nothing will happen, um, and to a degree, I mean, I jump between apathy and then okay, I'm going to do something. Do you know what I mean? But it's like
yeah.
we have extremely limited when you're talking about um, like the levels of control that are going on and the impact that we can have on them. So like I think that there's like we're being demoralized,
Yes.
but and that it's almost like a rubbing in your face of some of this. It's like the new revelations about, I don't know if you've seen like Hillary Clinton come out and stuff, and she's just adamantly defending I had nothing to do with Epstein. But there's like we have documented history on Hillary Clinton for 30 years of her crimes, but it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? They know, or at least come across as like I'm protected. I'm completely protected, no matter what.
That's what it appears like. As soon as
But
they say things like that and they start to do counter narratives to what they were saying just a few years ago, you just like these people know that they're untouchable, and they are preaching to the world, and like I said, they're rubbing in your face to say like, yeah, now I'm on this other side. It's like no one's mentioning the 30,000 emails, the Podesta laptop, like all this kind of stuff. They're like, why aren't you mentioning all of this stuff that happened in the past that we know about, and then actually questioning about it? Why don't you ask her about Frazzle Drip? Like, why are you talking
well,
about
that's the thing. Like the
open
Podesta
borders?
emails were far better than the Epstein files because a lot of these. Have you seen like these ones? They're like memos to himself,
Yeah,
and then they've held these documents forever. And they said most of the ones that they were doing the blackout and editing of these documents was all coming from the Southern District in New York.
yeah,
And this is like James Comey's daughter that oversees the Southern District in New York. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I even with a lot of the stuff they go, oh, so and so's name is mentioned 50 times. Well, they even brought up Elvis the other day. They go, Elvis is in the Epstein files. And it's
yeah,
because someone mentioned um, in an email that Elvis married Priscilla or was with Priscilla at 15. Do you know what I mean? There's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
to do there. So you see all these kind of jump on things, but like,
And I think that that's done on purpose as well, because I will see. I don't really get involved in a lot of commentary and stuff like that, but I certainly look to see what the public response is to certain things. And the most common thing that I see was like, just because they're mentioned doesn't mean they're implicitly involved in all of this stuff. So people are already saying, oh, just because Dale Holmes is mentioned on there doesn't mean that he's actually in it. This is just a bunch of email correspondence. People are going, fuck, this guy was just a prolific emailer. All he did all day was send 15,000 emails a day. So they're sort of dumbing it down to, oh, we thought that this guy was really, really bad, but it turns out that there's just some bad, and it's mostly just an account of emails.
well, I think nothing's going to satisfy like until there's released hard evidence, and I'm talking like I don't know, videos, whatever needs to come out, even as like fucked as that is, like
Yeah.
something like that needs to come out to shock her. And look, I do think it's going to happen. I think this has only got one trajectory. If you think about like where we were 5 years ago, 10, 15, 20, like this is, it's absurd. Like I just listened to General Flynn this morning and he's come on, he's saying, oh, there's a satanic cult that runs the world. Like this
Mm.
is a former national security advisor. These are, we do live in a different era. And I think
Yeah.
if we've got a bit of hindsight from looking there to where we've been, I still only see one trajectory, but I think it's going to be absolute chaos on the way in. But
I agree with you. I
the
think that like some of the encouraging things that I see, particularly out of the US, is I see a lot of real devoted Trump supporters that were like, this is the change that we need in our government. And then they vote for the guy and they go on public record to say, I am vouching for this bloke. And then they just see how he's done fucking nothing and he's backflipped on a lot of his promises like a typical politician, right? And so I think that there's a number of key people that are saying, bro, we didn't fucking sign up for this. We signed up for actions. We want you to fucking kick ass and take names, but you're not that guy anymore. You're the guy that's towing the line, just like every other dirty poly that's in the system. And we're fucking not happy with it, right? And then you see a lot of these underlying characters that which are coming out that are saying, "Hey, listen, man, like we're not happy as well. We backed you, right?" So that's encouraging. I think that America, if any country is going to lose their shit, it would be America. But again, like, this is only some of the parts because there's just a lot of things going on at the moment, which I think are distracting people from the main goal. And the worst thing about mankind is how they turn on each other to defend their position instead of turning towards like a common enemy and just making sure that like we're on the same team, right? Like, you might have a different perspective, but we're here and they're there. And so this is kind of like this is our war that we're involved in, right? And now everyone's just feuding against each other still. So that pisses me off.
I agree. Yeah, people have such solidified positions, don't they? I mean, I even have to catch myself doing that at times. But with like, I mean, Trump. They call him a populist president, right? And they've got the midterms this year. If you even want to talk happening at a political level, there's no way that they are going to win the midterms, or at least have public support. First of all, if he goes into Iran, especially if there's big loss of life, especially to American soldiers, Americans won't tolerate that anymore.
Mm,
Um, the other one is if the economy crashes under his watch, and thirdly, the main one, which people like Candace Owens and Dave Smith have been big drivers for, who were originally big supporters of Trump, is the Epstein stuff.
hmm.
And I think even more, probably more pressure on like Pam Bondi and Cash Patel,
Yeah,
especially when you had like people like Cash Patel and Dan Bongino that were like the voice of demanding all this. This is what you hate too, because
yeah,
everyone, I don't know how many times we fall for it, because you have these amazing voices, and then once they're put within the system, they're cucked. They can't do anything.
yes,
Um, and I think we're almost on the verge of that here in Australia, where I've never seen I mean, it's artificial, but like the rise of Pauline Hanson, particularly, it was already happening, but since Bondi,
yeah,
it's like people are going, oh, isn't she amazing? I'm like, no one capitalized on Bondi better than One Nation.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
look, I mean, like their policies, I don't disagree on a lot of their policies. I think they're quite good, but um,
Yeah, but
yeah,
you can see
you
that.
can see. Yeah, and I think this is actually where we're going. Is we've been worried about the left for such a long time, and this is like goes back to what I said before about light, um, and how it works with dark and light and polarity swings. That we went to an extreme with, especially I think cultural Marxism, with all the trans stuff and all the woke stuff, and to the average person was completely against that, and it's just drawn and fed into the hands of a conservative group like One Nation that's really not changed their opinion for 30 years.
Yeah,
Um,
This
But
is again something that kind of in the background, I sit back and I'm puzzled because I'm like, 5 years ago, you were telling everyone that you don't trust any politician and they're all dogs and they lie and all the rest of it. And now you're like, we're going to vote our way out of this. Like that's your solution is to back a minority party that really, I don't know politics, but I've interviewed a bunch of, One Nation politicians and
yeah,
things like that.
you've done Malcolm Robertson, then, haven't you?
Yeah, I've interviewed Malcolm a bunch, and I like the guy. I really
I
do.
do, I do too. I think he's fantastic, especially the climate stuff. He's really got his head around it, and like he knows details of that. Like especially like he's really against
No
the Ukraine.
slouch. Rennick's the
But
same.
yeah,
Rennick is a like just a he's hard to listen to sometimes, but his knowledge is exceptional. The
yeah,
the challenge is that it's like when I interviewed Ricardo Bossi years ago. I used to say to him, like, the way that I understand the political system is you have to align yourself with someone. You can't say, I'm going to make big change, but I'm not going to play with any other party. I'm just going to do it all on my own with small donations. It's like, the fuck you
it's
can.
it's not
Like,
designed that way.
it's not designed. You're designing you're designed to fail, right? Because the system won't allow you to fail. So again, back to like the way Aussies are preaching at the moment, they've come from COVID, don't trust anyone, and the government is bullshit and they're lying to you that they're telling you to take this fucking jab, which is going to kill you. They don't take it. Everyone's exempt except you, right? And so you're just like, but now they're not telling the truth. Now they're telling the truth, and we've got these freedom parties and all the rest of it. I don't like it.
Well,
Um,
okay. So did you see this one yesterday? I found this very notable. And look, I think the guy is great. That Two Worlds Collide podcast dude. What's his
Sam
name?
Bamford.
What's his name?
Sam Bamford, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Well, I mean, look, he blew up, and he blew up for a reason because he's exceptional in what he makes videos on and the topics, and he presents really well. But you can see now too, like that they've come in that him and that big Chocky have gone on and done an interview with Carl
Carl
Stefanovic yesterday.
Stefanova.
And look,
And
I
they're
don't
talking
know.
about starting a
I
political party
I
and
know,
things
and
like
they
that. And it's like, fuck, man.
and they want to they want an Australian lobbying group. Now, look, I don't know if these guys are just completely naive or look, he's good at identifying the problem or some of the
Yeah.
problems anyway. But what we've seen here, and it just looks so coordinated, especially if you look what's happening in the UK and America, but particularly in the UK with the rise of what's Nigel Farage's party. Um,
I don't know.
whatever they're called. Anyway, but they're quite big. And places like France with like the Pen and these other ones that were like these minor parties that have driven up. It's just rinse and repeat. If you can't see that One Nation is, they're playing the exact same agenda. And the number one thing that they've done, this is the other thing they've done in other countries, people like Tucker Carlson and then like Piers Morgan in it,
Mm,
have now, they've like left the mainstream and now we've got a podcast on YouTube.
mm.
Um, and now we start like interacting and engaging with some of these alternative conservative types. And now Carl Stefanovic's got this podcast and he's bringing them on and they talk and Carl's interview. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, in the last 2 weeks, Hanson just did like a circuit of all the media, like podcast, and they're just playing the same thing. And I don't necessarily think she's bad either. But if you're talking about a political solution to come in, you would need to like get a majority in the House and the Senate, like to make like sweeping changes. And that's going to take 30, 40 years.
Yeah,
It's not even, it's not a possibility. And I hate to say it, but like the thing needs to completely come tumbling down, and it's going to be the destruction of the dollar. That's because there's no point
I
even
agree.
planning for any of these things because the dollar is going. The dollar is going.
I agree. And I think that is the Trojan horse, like in terms of where everything's coming to, like this whole sort of global reset that has been touted for forever now, and they're talking about the 2030 agenda. I mean, like 2030 is not fucking far away. So
I can't believe
if
we're almost
if
there.
it's going
Yeah.
to happen, it has to start to happen now. The American dollar is absolutely plummeting to the ground. You can see that all markets are being fucked with. If you have any interest in crypto, You can just see at the moment it's being manipulated, just like every other market that there is.
Oh mate, I thought I was buying in at the bottom in fucking December. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm loading the bank, and then I've gone overseas, and my brother's just like sending me memes. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I go ham, and these influencers, they're like, oh, you just got to buy the dip. I'm like, I bought the last 20 fucking dips. How
I'm
many more
constantly
dips?
buying dips. That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm a fucking. Anyway, but yes, you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, even this like silver went on that massive run, and then silver dropped
Yeah.
30% in a day. Obviously, it had gone up hundreds of percent, but to drop 30% a day, and I'd heard that there was like stop losses on like with JP Morgan, these big guys,
Yeah.
they basically had to pull that out, or they were
Yeah,
done.
there is. And also again, like people who've got short memories, like when you listen to there's an economist type of guy that lives down my way, and I think his name's John Adams, and he talked about Perth Mint not having the silver that they said that you bought. They don't have it in the vault.
Yeah,
You know, it was things like that. Now I'm butchering a lot of the content and a lot of the information, so people are going to have to go and do their own sort of research as to what that is. But it's basically saying they have these promissory notes or whatever it is to say that Dale bought $1,000 worth of silver, but they don't have that silver there. They've just given you the note to say that you bought $1,000 worth of
certificate.
silver, right? So there's that. I just want to circle back to like Big Chocky and Sam Bamford and stuff like that. I don't know if they know.
No, I would assume they don't. I would
I
assume they
think they've
don't.
been
That's it.
captured. I
Yeah, yeah.
think it was only a matter of time before the the tentacles of like the media conglomerates have infiltrated podcasts. And I think it's very alluring too. Like if you were in that space and you amassed a very big following really quickly, and people were going like a lot of people have said to me over the years. I don't know if I'm sure they've said the same to you. Like, man, you should like get into politics. You're like, fucking why? You know, they're so yeah, but you can have influence. Like in what? And for who? Like where do you want me to go in that whole sort of political spectrum where you just got to, like you said, take 30 or 40 years? So I'm an old fucking grandfather before I think I can make a dent in a system that, like I said before, is designed to only benefit certain people and not others. But I don't think that I'd like to assume that I don't think that they realize that they've been captured by that particular audience. I think that they've been roped in to go, come on, Carl's show. We're interviewing all these big names, the Pauline Hansons of the world and all this kind of stuff. And they've been thrown in to go, mate, we need men like you to kind of, yeah, like lead the charge.
Yeah.
But I guess in absence of all of the COVID people that were making a fair bit of noise back in COVID, which aren't anymore. So I guess there's a gap in the market, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially with those guys, when people blow up so quick, and this is like when I'd say like someone's intelligence, like you can be an agent or an asset, and they got assets everywhere, and the assets don't know that they're assets.
Yeah,
Um, and these people are, and how they get them to, especially is naivety, but ego. They love because anything that will like like boost your profile, you'll get this, you'll get that.
of
Like
course.
that's what they'll target, right? And obviously they look for talent, and both of those guys have got talent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They've got appeal, and especially Sam. Like I'm not having a go at the guy. I think he's really good. I think he's effective in what he's doing. But as far as actually making a difference, when establishment and legacy media approach these kind of people to do podcasts and stuff, you're not a threat. You're not a threat. You wouldn't
Yeah.
be on there. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's
And the reason that they would like those types is they're pushing political solutions.
mm,
That's what they're happy. You can play in that realm forever. They fucking the establishment doesn't give a shit if you're pushing a political solution. They know there's no fucking political solution.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out because, like all of the political parties and anyone that has any kind of influence over a decision-making process for the general public, um, it'd be interesting which direction they turn. It seems obvious at the moment where they're going to side, but at the same time, you just don't know how that's going to pan out. But I have a feeling that one of them will have some sort of revelation sooner or later, because it's just one of those things, Dale, where you look under the hood and you just realize that like they're all fucking the same. You know what I mean? Like no one's got their shit together. Everyone's got the same agenda, that sort of stuff. Like it's just like a new sort of facade over the same old, system sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking on the post that they did, and people are going, "Oh, yeah, Carl's turned to the good side," and all this.
Yeah,
I
right.
was like, "Oh, fuck, man!" I'm like, have you watched this guy for 20 years?
Yeah,
He's like,
absolutely. Yeah.
he's
Ask me
like,
about
he
all the
spent.
shit he
I
used to
mean,
say.
they've had a number of different people on the Today Show. I remember when they had David Icke on, though, that was disgusting. But there's been many topics where Carl has um, just humiliated people that have come on with
Mm.
a generally a correct opinion that didn't fit with the establishment. Now Carl's one of the people. It's
Yeah.
like fucking
And
save
you
me.
know what? COVID was a very exposing period in time for all of that. It's like, if you were that outspoken and you that had that much freedom within the information that you could share on TV, well, then why weren't you saying it at that time? You waited
Yeah.
till like 4 years later to go, I've had 2 jabs, but I don't think I need any more than that. And it's just like, that's when you started to push, but you berated every politician that was against it, so they were
Yeah.
just
Well,
like you
that's
said.
I don't care what people say. Like once something's popular, there's nothing to lose from saying that. And it even goes now with like certain right wing or considered conservative opinions that now like all these politicians they want to jump over to One Nation now because they said that's the winning ticket. But like if something is true and you know it to be true, it will be proven to be so. And it's the time like when it's difficult to say. Like I'm having these thoughts in my head, and I can remember like sitting around with my mates when we were playing a cricket game, probably fucking 20 years ago, and I was rambling on about the different pedophiles in the Australian government, all it, and
Yeah.
it was just endless shit copying for years. And there's a
Mm.
part of you deep inside that turns around and go, "What's happening now, motherfuckers?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't help. There's a part of me that wants to do that,
Oh,
but
absolutely, yeah, because you want retribution, that's the thing, and
dude,
you want some sort of vindication to go, like, I wasn't far off the mark. I don't think personally, I found your content to be more sort of what's the word, like prophetic or in a sense, but I personally just listen to everything and extrapolate information and kind of just say how I think things are. So I don't think I have any ability to cast my mind into the future or predict
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But at the same time, I can just see the writing on the wall. So I think that a lot of my thoughts on things have been independent, but also like pulling from different sources. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like I still don't have a firm grip on the solution. Like a lot of the main premise of this podcast was to find other people and then see if we're on the same wavelength and then go, okay, can we just come up with some solutions to shit like this? Like, can we stop
I,
this?
Joe, Adrian, I'm just laughing at you because I know you got both sides, but I know you're very logical and practical, and you're like, okay, what's the problem? How do we fix this thing, right? So you always want to know this,
I
and
do.
it's true. And like, I almost hate getting asked that question because I don't know either. And I always shift between okay, because like you got to go inside, right? Okay, well I'll work on myself, but yeah, the exterior and the external world is still falling apart.
Yeah.
And I and how much do I engage with that, and can I make an impact on that, or is it just within my own surroundings? Do you know what I mean? Or are we just in a period of preparation mode for something that seems inevitable that's going to happen? That we're getting ourselves mentally and financially and spiritually prepared for something we don't quite know what's coming? Like, is
Yes.
that part of it too, or is it just like, or is it actually just what you've been doing for for however long you've been doing this
Yeah.
podcast is
Yeah. Yeah.
just, and I know there is an impact made where I still see stuff where I know I was the original poster of certain things many years ago, and they're circulated everywhere now. And I'm like, well, that's something that a little effort that I've made that's actually made. You don't understand the impact the
Yeah, true.
too. So like even just through having conversations. So like sometimes I think that is enough. We're not going to go in and smash down the walls of power and these satanic like you just that's not something practically that we're going to do.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I don't
I
have the
agree.
answer
And
really.
I think if I was to, I had this conversation only about a month ago because this guy was messaging me, a mate of mine that I knew, I've known forever, like since school. And when I say a mate, it's like, we know each other from school and all the rest of it, necessarily hang out or anything. But we talk about shit like this. And he was like, what if, for example, the evil that you're seeing at the moment, there's good guys within that area that actually are helping expose, but they have to do evil in order to expose the shit that's going on, right? And so we are talking about all of those sorts of things. Um, and but other than like little comments like that, you don't, and that was for him, that was based on some information that I've been putting out about how things were, for example, like the Bondi attack. When I just spoke about strategic attacks and aligned events and coordinated dates with Ole Demigard on a podcast, and then like 2 weeks later, Bondi happens, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just
I
like,
watched that
okay,
one.
well, it seems like everything is aligning on the same days, and it's just a trauma response and all the rest of it. So it comes off the back of that. But to your point about like how much impact you're making, I honestly don't know. I know to a small degree, and I get messages here and there from people to say it was I discovered you during the COVID shit. I really didn't have. They're more or less saying I didn't have the heart to say anything about it, but I felt comfortable knowing that you were thinking the same way that I was, and that's what got me through, right? I had a guy that come and help me dismantle the skate park. And he's a guy that I used to work with when I used to do security 25 years ago, right? And he was like, "Man, you saved my life." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's no worries there, Ray. That's a good one." And he's like, "No, seriously, like you saved my life. I was going to lose my job. I was working in the hospitals and all this kind of stuff, and I was going to end it." It's like, fuck, you're going to end it?
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, man, you like, when you started saying stuff, I started getting courage. And yeah,
See,
like
Adrian,
it
that's
makes me emotional when I think about it.
even if you've done nothing else but that, that's big enough. So you never know.
I
You,
think.
you never know. You never know the impact of just fucking being nice to someone or like.
That's right.
Do you know?
Just
Do you know?
asking
What I've
if
been
you're all
really
right
bad at
and
over the
how's your day
years. I've
going.
been really bad at like listening. Like I listen to people, but sometimes I don't listen. And I've really had to work on listening without having to try and jump in.
Yeah.
It's like they're the little when people say, "Oh, do the work" and stuff like that. It's not like I'm fucking trying to go into the ether and find creation. Do you know what I mean? Well, it's part of it too, but it's the little things like that, like
I know.
looking at your own flaws, which are endless.
Yeah.
Um, and
I think what's worked for me, Dale, is like I've had conversations with people and I've had conversations with my kids, and in the last couple of years, I've been exposed to a lot of suicide, young and old. Like I had an old mate of mine from the gym who just got absolutely torched during a breakup with his marriage. His kids were turned against him, and he was like 50 like me, and just a great guy, just a big gentle giant, and a beautiful soul, and he topped himself, like he just couldn't handle it anymore, and that's it. He's gone. So and I've conversely I've had like another one of my best mates, his brother's daughter. She committed suicide just before Christmas or just after Christmas. She's 13. Just took
13.
herself out. Had enough. And so I have made a point to sort of say something that might be confronting at that time, but at least I know in my mind that I've said it, as in if I see you and I go, "Hey, how's it going?" and you've got given off this vibe of like, I don't want to talk to you. for me to turn around and go, oh, Dale's in a fucking shit mood, and then walk away is what I would do more often than not. It's like, oh, I'll just let him go. Like he's having a shit day.
Yeah.
But now more often than not, I'll go, hey man, you all right? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, no, seriously though, like, are you okay? Because like you're just not, your normal self. And then people go, yeah, man, I just had a fucking shit day, and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want to have the opportunity where I could have said something and I didn't, and then I have regret. Like regret is one of my deepest, deepest fears that I have. Like going out of this world with regret or sitting on my rocking chair at 80 thinking I could have done something and I didn't is the worst feeling that I can think of. So, but again, like my mate whose daughter passed away, he was telling me 6 months ago, man, I'm having all this fucking trouble with my daughter and all the rest of it. But I'm like, off to your mums and I love you, but we can't have you around here if you're going to be this way and act out and all the rest of it. And I regret not saying to him, mate, she's 13. She needs a dad, like and right or wrong, I don't know if it would have changed any outcome at all. It probably wouldn't have,
Yeah.
because like there's so many forces at play, right? But I don't want to have that situation on my hands again. I don't want to say nothing. I want to have the opportunity to go, man, just pull her in a bit close, or just try a little harder, or just maybe try and connect, or use someone in your family or circle, a circle of friends that can maybe have some sort of influence. Like the amount of times in the last, I don't know, 2, 3 years now, 4 years that I've called on like my brother and mates and all that kind of stuff, to have chats with my kids and things like that. I started MMA 3 years ago with my son. I've become really good mates with the coach, and I utilize him as a form of influence, in terms of not helping me be a better parent or anything like that. I don't go and spew my guts up and say like this is, my son's being an absolute fucking dick and all the rest of it. I go, hey, listen, man, this is what's going on. He's had a shit day at school. He's on check report. He's on these report cards. He's rebelling. I don't know what's going on. So he'll just have a gentle conversation to go, is everything all right, man? Like you got to start pulling your head in at school, start doing things. And all of a sudden things just, they mellow out. You can't be all things to all people. And sometimes, that whole saying of it takes a village to raise a family, I think that applies to friends and family. It applies to, anyone outside or anyone that you can have sort of influence or agency over some kind of a ripple effect. I know I'm rambling on a bit, but
No, yeah, you got me thinking a lot. Well, I mean, first of all, that's just absolutely tragic. A 13-year-old.
yeah,
I can't even imagine. But I'm hearing that. I'm thinking, and like, do you know what? I've been over to Thailand for 2 months, and Thailand's a very interesting place, right? You find
yeah,
there's a lot of people around my age there where like I go over there and do training, right? So there's like no drinking, just training, eating clean,
mm,
going to bed early, and everyone's kind of doing the same. And you get a lot of there's kind of a lot of middle-aged, wealthy people, but they're all the more you get to know them over the years, because some people come back, there a lot of people running away. I don't know if I put myself in that category, maybe.
yeah,
And a lot of people with a lot of issues, and a lot of and very lonely people. But I think like what you're talking about too is like there's definitely there's like this severing of human connection that's just exponentially got worse, I think, especially in the last 10 years. It's like more and more technology gets introduced, and I'm not just blaming that, but
mm,
it's a well calculated agenda. It's not by accident that we've got to this position. And I
agreed.
think I think people it's the number one thing, when you got your basic needs of like shelter, water, and food, then the other part is connection. That's really what it is. And
Yeah.
I
I
love
don't
my
think people know what to do though, Dale. I think and I find myself getting caught in the trap of endless scrolling and all that kind of stuff as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I think people have been very well trained to in the absence of knowing what to do, they just do what they know, which is to isolate or not connect and or be afraid of even approaching someone. Like I've talked a bunch about it's so convenient now to have your phone because it never rejects you. It's like
Yeah,
AI, when you're talking to fucking Chat GPT, it's a freaking narcissistic fucking dick. It always placates everything you say, tells you how good you are. It's going to be a banging book agent. I can't believe the impact it's going to make. And they're just like, it tells you what a wonderful thing that you're doing. But it's the same, like porn, all that kind of stuff. Like it's just no one's ever going to reject you. So
yeah.
you have this beautiful curated online world that has no resistance.
Yeah. I think it's the same with religion. I think it's like certainty out of fear because you go to those certainty. That's why I see a lot of people going to religion now too, because there's absolute uncertainty in the way that the world's going for most people, right? So you lunge onto a certainty of a religious dogma. But I think I think human connection's the main one. I think that's the problem for most of the mental illness now too. I'm like, everyone's on fucking meds. Everyone's got a mental health problem. It's sort of like everyone. Um, and yeah, look,
Not
I've
like
been
you're immune from it either, though. Like it's not like I'm
no,
immune from it either. I've got
no,
pretty big
I'm not.
thoughts that
I'm not.
come in
Yeah, I'm
and
not
out of
putting.
my mind. I can't believe where some shit comes from sometimes. I'm like, fuck, bit wild,
But
like
yeah, but the thing is, you go through all that, and then you like bring it back to you, like, well, what the fuck am I? What are we doing
yeah.
here? Like, does this even
That's right.
do you know what I mean? Like, how
The
often?
age-old questions.
I
What's it
remember
all
like
for? What's
I
the
remember
point?
like I like to have these conversations. One of my best mates back home, and like I'd get into these like philosophical discussions or try to, and I'm like, do you ever just like wonder what this is? Like, do you ever wonder what you are? And he's like, no. And I'm like, but like, surely, like,
Yeah,
surely you like there must be a moment where you sit in bed and go, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what
yeah,
even is it? Why am I here? Like, even why am I in this specific location? How the fuck? Who's these people I've met? Like, what am I?
yeah, yeah,
And he's
why
like,
not?
no, I don't. And I'm like, we're different, man. But like, he's like, he's very mentally stable too. And
Sure, sure.
there's some part of that to like high concept thinking that is attached to like mental illness. And I've
Eckhart Tolle used to say that you're on a knife's edge of going insane.
yeah,
But like when you start to dance around those types of questions, which loop and have no finite answer,
yeah.
you're on a knife's edge. You can either get to enlightenment or you can send yourself to the fucking loony bin.
I agree. Yeah. And that's like I had two mates going through school actually. One of them he got picked to go into like some genius program, right? Like he was unbelievable, especially like computer codes and stuff like this. And this was in the '90s. And he's been in and out of psych wards for the last 10 years now, like completely done his head in. And the other one, he was unbelievable. This guy was like he was an unbelievable chef. He could play every musical instrument. He was a writer. He used to write like screenplays, and we would have like up until he died in 2019, actually, just before COVID, and he would have loved this era because this was everything that he was about. But
Mhm.
he was just completely lost it mentally too.
Yeah.
And there's something to that. But and then you look at like Big Plato from your area.
Mm.
So like Down syndrome and stuff, they're happy as hell because they don't have the same ability. I don't know if I should say that, but like the higher
I know what you
concept
mean.
thoughts and stuff thinking, and they're completely happy.
Sure. And you know what? Sometimes I'm fucking jealous of those people.
I looked at one they posted about Clayton this week. They had like his last 3 months in 20 slides,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this guy is living the most
Maybe.
wholesome, fulfilling, stress-free life of
Yeah.
anyone on this planet. And I'm like, I'm absolutely stoked for the guy. I think it's amazing. But
Agreed. But like, is it because of what you're focusing on? Like is it if I just turn the blind eye and said there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, does that mean there's no weeds? Like, is my life better off because I'm only seeing the light and not the dark, or can I only know the light by knowing the dark? Like it's if you took it a step further in terms of like a Jungian theory of polarity and understanding that we have these deep dark childhood, wounds and all the rest of it, and we need to sort of understand where they're from and why they happen, and release them in a way that serves us to a greater good, or that, what's the other guy's name? Adler used to say, well, that's fine, just don't bury yourself into the why or the how and all the rest of it. Just acknowledge that it did happen, and now you need to pick a side as to whether you're going to move away from or towards a particular way of life, being, thinking, feeling, all that kind of stuff, so
But you have to want, if you have the intention of what's true, then you can't crack the shits when you don't like what's true either. Do you know what I mean? It's like if your partner's having an affair. Like, do you want to know or do you not want to know? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's like, if you get a lot of Christians say, "Oh, like Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life," and then like you try and show them stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to look at that." I'm like, "Hang on, you
yeah,
said Jesus is the truth. Like, if it's
yeah,
the
that's
truth is
exactly
the
right.
truth is the fucking truth, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh no, like no, I'm only one way through Jesus. Well, Jesus is the truth, so like let's see what the truth is.
I've had that argument for like 20 years. There's only one Lord and Savior. Really? Well, fuck, man. Here's 25 other lords and fucking, mention. Like, so who is the Lord and Savior? So anyway, yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you mean. Look,
yeah.
I think back to like the outcome or the solutions of all of this. I can tell you what I think is working for me, and that is, I agree with the inner work. I agree with, I think it's a bit of both. When you talk in terms of, say, Jung or Freud, or if you talk about Adler or whatever, I think it's a mixture of both. It's good to work on why I do the things that I do. And then it's also good to not dwell on forever healing, because then you just become
That's
a
a big
little,
trap.
guinea pig of just I've got to go to my 111th fucking ayahuasca ceremony because, there's still demons that need to be exercised and all that shit. So there must be something that I haven't healed because I'm not living my best life. But then just like, how many ayahuasca fucking ceremonies do you need before you reach like your best life? I don't get it. Um,
Yeah,
but I
well,
think
you're putting that energy out there that I constantly, there's something wrong with me.
I'm broken.
I'm broken. I need to be
Yeah.
healed. I need to
And I
be
need to be fixed. And then you constantly find and seek a healer. And it doesn't matter, like you start off with a mainstream, I don't know, John D. Martini, and then you work your way through to some fucking shaman in the Himalayas, and then you're just like, bro, this is
But
an
that's why they
experience.
say, like, I've heard that like talk therapy beyond like 2 sessions is pointless, and it's actually just re-traumatizing because all you do is go in there and rehash over everything that's wrong with your life, constantly reaffirm that, come back next week, talk about it some more.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why
And
people that
we're
go to
actually
like,
pushed as guys to like. There's a lot of guys need to share their feelings. I think we need to get off our chest, and then that's fucking it. Like once you've expressed it, and then go out. You need to go out and do something. I actually heard Trump say a good one, which I think is kind of true. They asked him about depression, and he goes, "I don't have time to be depressed." That's what he
yeah,
said, and I think there's an element of truth in that.
there is an element of truth. There
He
certainly
said,
would be a consequence to not having time for all of that. But I think there's certainly an element of truth. But that's why people go to like Tony Robbins for 4 days and they come out like just high on life. And then within a week, they've settled into reality and then they want to fucking neck themselves because they've gone from the highs of highs to the depths of depression within 4 days. So I think learning how to manage your emotions is a key thing to survival, because you need to understand that the emotions lie. They don't often tell the truth. You can say, I don't feel like this or I don't feel like that. And if you buy into it enough, that is your version of the truth at that time. It may not be true, but it's your version of the truth. So, but I certainly think having a a goal, having something to work towards, whether it be business or whether it be health or whether it be family. But I think all of those things should be in. I think having the
purpose.
I think having a interest at least in connection, and that can be with humans, but also with yourself and also with nature. I think all of that needs to be bundled in. I think working towards things that you value the most. So things that are most important to you. I think living in alignment with all of that is super critical, because when you feel like you're just going to work and you're just turning a dollar and you're just paying the bills, that leads, particularly as a man, and I'm sure it's the same for women, but as a man without a purpose and direction, without something that you feel like you're in a growth phase, or you're constantly moving through from A to B sort of thing. I I think that that's where you feel lost and detached and useless. You feel like I don't have a purpose for my ability. So where do I fit in life? And that's where you just either wander aimlessly, you flap in every which way the direction of the breeze flows, all the rest of it, and then you just feel like, man, like what's the point of I just go to work, I pay taxes, I fucking die, and that's my life. That there's nothing else to that. So I think having some sort of a goal, and even if it's not realized, even if it's something that is never truly attained, I think that, as cliche as it
It's
sounds,
a process of working
learning and
towards
the
the goal.
process of working towards something, like, I don't know, in my own life, I mean, you look at me starting again at like 42, 43, it's like I'm an absolute failure. Bro, I fucking, I just flopped everything that I worked for in 20 plus years in terms of my working life, and just fucking lost it in one foul swoop. So it's like I'm an absolute loser in that respect.
Well, do you know, my brother came around here before with his sons, and he goes, oh, you're a bit sore from scaffold, Dale. And I go, mate, I can't move. And he looked at his son and he goes, see, he goes, you need to try hard at school or you're going to end up like Uncle Dale.
Oh, really? Oh,
He
what a
said, he
yeah.
goes, you're going to be 40 years old, you've sold your house and you're working on it. But
What a kick in the
like I made you
nuts.
think. I think. I mean, yeah. I mean, what? It's a well balanced life, and it's ebbing and flowing in and out of certain things too. Like I get obsessive on certain things,
Mm,
but I think everyone needs at least one outlet, and I do agree you need to have you got to have progression in goals. Like that's been my stagnancy the last few years. I think this is why I keep going to Thailand. I'm like, I've got to do something, and I've got like this purpose when I'm there. And I've got a goal to get fit.
yeah.
Um, but and like I remember on our conference last year, and Will Callis spoke about the spiral symbol, and
Hmm.
it always stuck with me that. And he said like love is action, and love is truth again too. So and he said, and that's the the Dorothy Wizard of Oz with the curling um, yellow brick road, but it's also represented in a lot of movies like the staircase too. So the spiral staircase where you can't see the top,
Yes.
and that's like, and it's meant to be that through constant movement you're progressing. You don't, and with the spiral staircases, you don't know what the top is. So it's a journey of faith as well too, because you don't know necessarily the outcome, but you continually move on, and the drive is whatever goal it is that's going to be on the other side. So
Mhm. Yeah. It's one of those things where I think, yeah, I don't think you're truly ever going to know what's in front of you. And again, it's all those cliche sort of sayings, it's the journey. The journey begins with one step, like what is it? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. It's that whole pursuit of something worthwhile. But that still comes down to knowing what is worthwhile to you. So otherwise, you're just going to lean towards what you think someone else would think is worthwhile to you. Like you kind of look at society and the way everyone's moving and like shaping, or how they're sort of formulating their lives. And you go, well, that's kind of where everyone else is going. In the absence of knowing myself, I'm going to just default to whatever the herd's doing. I think religion captures that market really, really well. So in the absence of Dale understanding himself and talking to the highest version of himself, or the authentic self, and kind of understanding that there's ego and spirit, and there's kind of like a delineation between the two, and there's a marriage of sorts between which one can serve you and which one can hinder you. You're left to some other divine, quote unquote, um, religious dogma that will direct you in the absence of you having zero direction. Like it's a blind faith, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people would disagree with that, but I think that Jesus is the way is a saying for a reason. It's just like just trust the plan. That's another reason. Just yeah, know that everything's supposed to unfold just as it should be. Like, sure. But I agree with you, like your spirituality is action. Love is action. Love is a verb. Love is a doing word,
Yeah.
So yeah, we can all you know, sit back and fucking manifest whatever the fuck you want, but if you're sitting on the couch eating potato chips, it's just like I don't think anything's gonna happen.
And that's why like when apathy creeps in, I have to like remind myself that like there has to be like an action element, and it's just trying to work out what the fuck that is, and maybe we're doing it anyway. But
Yeah.
look, I think we're in for. I don't think the world's going to look anything like what it used to look in the next couple of years. Like I think I don't know how you feel, but it just feels in like we're in mass transition, and there's going to be an entire rejigging of like what this reality is for just for the average person. Like I really feel that.
I
Um,
agree.
so,
And
so
again, like I don't know the absolute answer to what to do about it. I just think that there are things that I think are inevitable in terms of what whether they happen or not. I think they're going to happen, but I guess we have a level of participation, and that's the decision that we have on our hands. So I think in terms of like we discussed before, like monetarily, I think the writing's on the wall. Like a
oh, yeah.
digital currency it's already in play. It's been talked about since like I don't know 2008 or something like that. It's been in the works for such a long time. I think in terms of technologies, from what I've seen over the years of certain disclosures, I think whatever we're seeing now is 20 years ago invented. Like it's kind of like whatever we're seeing now is still old technology. They don't come out with the iPhone 13 and then think, oh, boys, like you want to work on the iPhone 14 now? It's just like, they're already working on the fucking 15 and 16 and 17, and they're just going to keep evolving to that point. So I think technology is going to really
I mean,
explode.
like even the astrology matches like this this mass technological rise in the next 15 years. But you know how I think it's going to play out?
No.
I've got no evidence towards this, but this is what I think. Well, there is some because like people like Philip Snyder, and it is in other think tank documents where they spoke about space weapons, and we
Hmm.
always said like Trump made created Space Force in what was it 2017, and it's basically to do with cyberspace and stuff like that. But I think the advanced tech is going to be released um, in a war scenario, and they almost gave a bit of a hint of it in Venezuela, where I don't think that not the best stuff that they've got, but they were using sound weapons and stuff like that they went in and got Maduro. But I think, especially if there's the case of whether it's real or not, but a nuclear threat, and then we're going to see the government is going to release. They're going to have to release to the public whatever this weaponry they've got is that we've never seen before. So I think that's going to tie into a nuclear threat, and I think it's also going to tie in with the UFOs, which is now starting to get
You know.
way more traction. Have you been watching Ross Coulthard? Remember him, the old 60 Minutes guy?
No, I haven't watched
Oh,
anything of him
dude,
for
now
eight.
you've got it. Have you ever watched Mark Burris's podcast?
From time to time, yeah.
Yeah, he does some good ones. But anyway, so like I've been watching Ross Coulthard since 2020. Now he was obviously a mainstream 60 Minutes journalist and foreign correspondent and investigative journalist for years in the mainstream, and then he flipped around 2019, and he's now an independent journalist,
Hmm.
and he's completely specializes in UAPs or UFOs, right?
Right.
So he's got like his own channel, and he's become like he's a bit of a figure now in the whole disclosure movement.
Hmm.
But he's actually his recent one. Well, he talks a lot because the whole new um, information now is that all these UFOs are coming in and out of the water, in and out of the ocean. And then Catherine Austin Fitts and people like this say that there's underground civilizations in the sea, which I think is real.
Yeah.
Um, but and the other part of it is they all keep saying, and this is coming from Tucker Carlson and other mainstream people, that there's a spiritual element to these UFOs, And the reason that the governments won't tell us about it is there's demonic spirits in these UFOs as
Mm.
well as angelic. But what Ross Coulthard said now too, because this has been a theme for the last few decades or several decades, is that UFOs they're always high UFO activity around nuclear installations, and they've been getting a lot of them up in Darwin. So these UFOs
Yeah,
around
right.
some of the military bases up there, and he's heard from insiders that they have moved nuclear warheads into this Darwin military base, nuclear missiles.
Wow.
So, and then people go, "Oh, nukes don't exist," but like I've heard all that. But um, I think regardless of that, there's a nuclear threat, um, and that's what I've always based everything. It's kind of like my base study is like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey,
Hmm.
and in every part of the 17-part story is there's this point at the end where the hero is about to finally win, and then all is lost right at the very end, and then you're like, nah, it's all done, and then there's some new revelation and a whole new world exists after it. And I think that's going to play out with technology. So I think yeah, I think that's how the technology gets introduced. And then just so many of these movies, like remember like Spider-Man and Batman, they're all talking about like this nuclear fusion, that we can power all the cities of the world with this small thing, but it can
Yeah,
also destroy the world. I think there's an element of truth to that too, but that completely it dismantles the whole energy sector and everything like that too. When you've got, if you can have nuclear fusion, we don't need to dig coal and gas and
agreed.
all the
But
rest of
again,
it.
I like the UFO theory of like, let's introduce the UFOs at the same time as this technology upgrade. I think that when they realize that they've got certain things, well, I don't think they realize. I think everyone in this space knows that there's certain elements that you can use that will power entire cities endlessly. And I think that when that happens, that'll be the financial reset. I think that'll be the introduction of universal basic income. I think that
Yeah,
that's
because
where
they're not running all these AI farm labs and stuff off the current energy system.
no
It's
chance.
it's just not happening.
No, but I think that that whole energy sector will explode, and they'll go, we just need to have a new technology which is going to run like all of our power, because you can just see the way things are going. They're smashing everyone economically. Like I don't know what your power bill is like, but I'm paying like $4,000 a year for fucking electricity. All right. So I have this uh argument, not argument, but a debate all the time with many people, but just recently with my partner. It was just like 200 grand a year is break even in Australia at the moment. Like if you
Oh
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
if you have a single parent household and you're not making over $150,000 a year, I think you're probably going backwards. If you want to live in a decent place, like rent here's $52,000 a year. You know, um,
yeah.
I've
It's
got
a lot.
three boys. I'm spending anywhere between 80 and $100 a day on food. So it's like there's
Yeah,
already
well,
fucking a
this is
hundred.
the pain I think though too, because it's one foul swoop of a complete epic economic collapse. At least everyone goes down at the same time, but it's just going to continually slowly take people out financially. Like I can't see it going much more than a year or
It
so in
will. If you
Australia.
control money, you control food, you control the world, right? So I think that that's how things are going. Again, I know this is all going to play out, and it's inevitable that I agree with you in a sense that I think there's too many people aware of what's going on for things to go the way that they want to. But in the meantime, I think that there's going to be a fairly large degree of chaos. And so what seems to be happening is this sort of crescendo of like all things happening at once. Um,
Yeah,
and I think that's designed perfectly to bamboozle everyone because, like we've said through this whole conversation, it's just I'm not sure of the outcomes. I've explained to you the things that I'm doing in terms of what I'm trying to do economically, physically, mentally, emotionally to stay ahead. But honestly, if things were to hit the fan tomorrow, and I need food. I mean, I'll be probably raiding Woolies or doing something like that. Like I don't have a garden or anything.
See,
I
but
don't have a farm.
so I feel like we
Too
were way
fast.
better prepped 6 years ago, and I've just gone backwards. I've completely left it to the breeze. Like we'll see what happens. I'll fend for
Yeah, yeah. I
myself.
started storing cans of shit years ago as well, and I'm just like I ate them all. So it's just like, like uh, I'm probably my own worst enemy in that respect, But at the same time, I honestly don't
But
think.
there's a trust element to it as well, too, isn't it? Like like we're going to be okay.
I think so, but I also think when it comes to like RNA and vaccines in foods and all this kind of stuff, and they're destroying all of these things to attack human health. I agree in part, but I also disagree because it affects everyone. So it's just like I can't see all of these politicians and these higher ups like eating fucking organic. I don't think that they're doing it. I don't think they're buying pure AU water from fucking Woolies every week, just so they can have, a BPA
But I
free.
mean, that tells you more about them and the control structure that they're so far from it that they don't, they're freaking plebs in this game as well.
Yeah, sure. But like, I don't know, mention whoever, a George Soros
Yeah,
or Bill
yeah.
Gates. They're not exactly fucking depictions of youth and health. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, like if that's what your plan is for everyone else, then what are you eating and drinking? Because you look fucked. So it's just like, they must be at least in part on the same playing field to a degree than as what we are. So I don't think that the complete destruction of humanity is going to play out the way that they think or the way that we've been led to believe, simply for the fact that if they spray the skies and released fucking, electronic bees or wasp or some shit like that, or mosquitoes into the world, it's just like, I have a hard time believing that they're not going to be affected and living in the same earthy plane as what we do. And so why would you do that? Because you know, I don't know. Maybe you do have an underground bunker and you visit there, or maybe that's your fucking stunt double that's appearing on land all the time. I don't know. Or maybe you are an alien, really, and you're not affected by this shit, You're just a fucking ET, like that Simpson episode, when they reveal the
Yeah,
two
yeah, the fuck,
heads,
it's Mr. Burns, isn't it? He goes out.
Yes, fucking.
That
So anyway.
was a good, yeah.
Mate, it's always great to talk to you. We could do this all day.
Well, thanks, man. Good to see you again.
It's great to see you. We'll have to catch up next time you're in the Gong. I'm going to come to Adelaide. Actually, I think you've been at the Gong a couple of
No,
times now.
I'm up in near Byron at the moment.
Oh yeah,
Um,
nice.
yeah. But
Oh, well,
I'm
Byron,
actually I am heading down. I'm heading down to Victoria, so
okay.
I'll let you know.
Well, I'd love to go to Byron. I've never been. I've heard good things.
Have you not,
No,
Adrian? Come on.
I know. I've got to live a
You've
little.
been, you've been to the Goldie though.
I've been to the Goldie, yeah, a bunch of
Yeah.
times.
Well, it's only 45 minutes from the Goldie.
Since I met my partner a couple of years ago, we've been doing a lot of country trips and
This small
wineries
one.
and all
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of stuff. She's been sort of not changing my ways, but in expanding my view in terms of
So have you
So
been going to places that you hadn't been before then?
yeah, absolutely. I'm like little country towns and
Yeah, it's
all that kind of
nice.
stuff. It's like all my life has been is just like going to work, going to the gym, going to the beach. Like it's just been very
Yeah.
sort of like one dimensional in that respect. So anyway.
Has she been a Byron?
I would have to say yes. So I haven't asked her. She's been a lot more places than what I have, that's for sure. I've been overseas and bits and pieces like that, but I think Australia is underrated in terms of beauty
Yeah.
and everything that's around there. So I don't plan on flying anywhere soon. So I just think like
Well, I
road
I
trips
had
are
no
the
desire
way.
to go anywhere in Australia, and I was shocked once I started getting more like central Queensland. And I'm like, fucking hell, this is like a whole other world up here. Like they're
Yes.
not even there's no there's no similarity to there from where I've lived. Like, and I'm
That's
like,
the
why
best
have I
thing
not
about
why have I
Australia.
not come up here? Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like we're doing trips, Dale, that are like 4 hours south of where I live, and it's
I
another
mean,
world. I'm just like, fuck, literally
come
on my
on, give
backyard.
you
I'm not even out of
give
the fucking state.
give us your best small town plug or like bakery.
Oh, fuck. I reckon that's a tough one. I would say like Yas, like for example, the Yas bar, right, is like,
I've never been to Yas. I've only ever
okay,
I've seen the turn off, but I don't think I've ever gone in there.
oi, me either. Driven past it a million times, right? So yeah, I like go to the Yas bar. Okay, it's just a fucking little bar. You get these little sort of like tapas style dinner and all the rest of it. They've usually got a jazz band or someone playing.
Yeah,
It's a
good.
fucking vibe. And in winter as well, like, it's just it's a good thing. You can't go there on a Sunday, nothing's opened. It's a typical country town where
Yeah.
like you struggle. You virtually got to drive to Canberra to get breakfast, right? It's just fucking there's nothing there on a Sunday, but on a Friday, Saturday, it's amazing.
Oh,
So the wineries and all that kind of stuff, like, yeah, there's it's a beautiful part of town. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm gonna put Byron on the list. I'll come and see you. We'll hang out.
Mate, Brun's Bakery sausage rolls. If you like a sausage roll, these are the
I
best.
have not had a sausage roll in about 15 years, but I'll have one with you.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit sacrilegious, isn't it, for a wog boy to have a fucking sausage roll?
I used to dig them at school every day at the
Oh, man.
canteen.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Unanderra pools, going to the pools every weekend or something like that. Sausage roll with sauce was the best.
Yeah.
So I don't think they make sausage rolls and meat pies like they used to, though. They seem like a bit cruddy these days.
Nah, this is supreme. I don't have one unless they're good. So this is, yeah, it's
Deal.
good thick meat
I'll have
too.
one with you next time I'm up.
All
I'll
right,
plan a trip soon.
mate. All right, buddy.
All right, legend. You have a great
Thanks,
day.
mate. See ya.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.